Hi, are you following the gold price in terms of US dollar, euro, Japanese yen, or some other currency? My name is Jimmy Lapping. I'm a psychologist and statistician with an interest in a wide variety of research topics, including the financial markets. And in this video, I look at recent trends in the gold price in different currencies. And before I dive into these recent trends, I start with a chart of the gold price in US dollar terms since the early 1970s. Basically, this chart indicates that there were kind of parabolic moves up, first in the late 1970s and early 1980s, and next after the financial crisis of 2008. And then sometime in 2019 we started to see another move of that kind, but it did not continue to the levels that some predicted. Although we did see a breakout above the 2011 top recently, and from this perspective it seems that we are still finding ourselves in somewhat of an uptrend, one may also start to wonder if since the early 2020s we have been finding ourselves in a more narrow trade range in which we are actually going sideways. So let's have a look at this period of the last approximately 4 years, starting with gold in US dollar terms. What we see here is that on the one hand higher lows, and at the same time still not a convincing breakout above that red line. The gold price has been in that area just above $2,000 an ounce and seems to be kind of stuck there. So how do things look in other currencies? Well, let's have a look at the gold price in euro terms, here expressed in grams instead of in ounces, because in the Eurozone grams is a more common measure. So we see that we have recently been trading around 60 euro per gram and that we have not yet meaningfully broken out above that level. What we can also see, however, is that we are finding ourselves in a pattern of higher lows and higher highs. In other words, an uptrend, even though it is a slow uptrend. Next, pound sterling, which is showing a trajectory quite similar to that of the euro. On the one hand, we seem stuck somewhere in the lower 50s, yet on the other hand, we see a similar kind of higher lows and higher highs pattern as for the gold price in euro terms, and hence a slow uptrend. Another one with a similar slow uptrend seems to be the Chinese yuan, where we also see higher lows and higher highs. And a somewhat stronger uptrend we see for the gold price in an ever weaker Japanese yen. There is no sign whatsoever yet of a turnaround in this trend. Next, the Canadian dollar, which in terms of pattern is somewhere in between what we saw for the US dollar and what we saw for the euro and pound sterling, with higher lows and somewhat less clear but subsequent highs inching higher as well. However, not in all currencies do we see higher highs. Here we have an example of the gold price in Singapore dollars, where we have not yet reached back to the 2020 peak, and we can even see another resistance slightly lower because the 2022 peak was lower than the 2020 peak. It seems really that we are stuck somewhere in the upper 80s for now. And finally, the Swiss franc, which over the past year has appreciated considerably against several other major currencies, including the euro. And we see a double top around 60 in 2020 and 2022, to which we have not returned yet. And one might even say that we are actually moving away from it. We have an interesting case here of higher lows and lower highs, and it will be interesting to see which direction this goes as the two diagonal lines converge further. So what these charts indicate is, first of all, that whether the gold price is still in an uptrend depends on the currency in which we express the gold price. And that in most of the currencies included in this video, we have not seen any big movement up from the 2020 peak. This is interesting because it shows that for now there is little indication that we are finding ourselves in a kind of parabolic move that we saw around 1980 or after the financial crisis of 2008. If there is still any move up going on, it is much less strong than we saw, for instance, from about halfway 2019 to the 2020 peak. And if the trends in the gold price in the Singapore dollar and the Swiss franc are any indicators, we may actually be finding ourselves in a period of sideways movement. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope you find this useful, and if you have any ideas or suggestions for future videos, you can leave a comment below this video or just drop an email using the email address that I've shared in the description below this video. Thank you for listening, have a good day, and see you soon.